The biggest event in match fishing is back, 20 years old and bigger and better than ever. This is FishOMania. 16 anglers in the quest for winner takes all. Who will take down the greatest prize in fishing?
What a day for fishing in the English countryside. A day of splendour, hardly a breath of air. The sun shining, hardly a cloud in the sky. Crowds gathering here at the wonderful Arena Lake at Cudmore Fisheries in Staffordshire for FishOMania 20. There are thousands watching today around the lake, thousands at home as well. The anglers are here with their teams behind them and family supporting them, getting themselves ready for the biggest days in their angling career.
Wonderful day for going fishing. We call it the FA Cup of Fishing, mainly because from 2,250 anglers, we're down to the final 16. And like the FA Cup, we have seasoned stars. We have England internationals, world champions, former FishOMania winners as well, up against the likes of carpenters, gardeners and gas engineers. Well, talking about seasoned faces of fishing, we have old Fishface himself, Keith Arthur. 20 years of FishOMania.
It's amazing.
It's unbelievable. Who would have ever thought that it would last this long? And we have probably the biggest and the best field ever.
I think so, I really do. The standard of anglers, lots of good young anglers. People say there aren't enough good youngsters about. Some blooming good youngsters on the lake today, I'll tell you that.
We go from the ages of 21 to 58, I think, today. There's a massive...
modest 58 as well, I would guess.
in Tommy Pickering. And it could go anywhere, couldn't it?
Yeah, it really could. I mean, obviously there are some more favoured than others. There are people with more experience, people that have been here before and experienced the nerves of FishOMania, but there's some great anglers here.
Well, I've had a word with pretty much all of the anglers on my little walk around the lake earlier on, and every one of them is very, very confident of taking home the £30,000 cheque and the coveted trophy at the end of the day. Well, this is how things pan out. The ladies have started fishing already. They have hourly weigh-ins. The main event starts at 12:05. If you've not seen FishOMania before, it's the cumulative total of all of the half-hourly weigh-ins. First one will be about just after 12:30. The ladies finishes at 4 o'clock, and then at 5 o'clock, and it quite often goes down to the wire. All of the fish have to be caught by 5:05, and we've had the last one caught at 4.5 minutes past 5 before, and that's when it ends. The catch of the day amongst all 22 anglers is £1,000. The ladies' champion takes home £1,000 as well, and the FishOMania champion takes home a coveted cheque of £30,000. Well, this is the beautiful lake. As you say, Keith, hardly any wind. There's hardly a flutter.
That's right. There's
no waves out there.
Exactly, none at all.
These are the peg positions for the main event.
And no rain, exactly right. And you see that there's a gap between each pair of anglers. So they've all got exactly the same amount of room. They can go to the right or to the left, whatever they do, and conditions are perfect.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Cudmore Fisheries. This is the HotelPlanner.com FishOMania 20, brought to you by Barry Hearn's Matchroom Sport. Well, the waiting's over. It's now time for the All-In!
Well, the hoot are reverberating around the Staffordshire countryside. An absolutely perfect day for fishing. We've had years before when there's been thunder and lightning and our reporters around the lake have been up to their necks in mud. But today, the most essential piece of equipment, if you're not angling, is some sun cream. Exactly. Does it get better than this, Keith, for an event like this?
Well, this is, it's not perfect conditions for the fish themselves because they've not got eyelids, so the sun has a big impact on where they'll be. But this is the crucial time. This is when the anglers make their main decision, because on Fishermania, winner take all. You've got to make a decision, you've got to stick to it. They'll now be putting bait in different parts of their swim, waiting to attack it later on. I noticed Tommy was very positive, threw a feeder out straight away. As if you noticed Emma Pickering, she was winding in a fish, the landing net went in. Already she's got a fish, so she'd caught that on the feeder. Looks like it's going to be a good plan.
It's a bit of an optical illusion when we had the graphic before, because it looked as though there were smaller areas, but there's an equal distance between each angler, isn't there?
Absolutely. There's an equal distance between each pair of anglers, and the distance from the angler to the island is the same all the way around. It's perfectly circular.
Well, it's a great field. We have 9 previous finalists here this year, and we have 7 first-timers. A lot of these anglers, I mean, they're professional. They're like the golfers, practising on the greens. They're practising their chips to see how the greens take it. These anglers, of course, have been, once they knew they'd made it here, first ones in April, they started coming down, they fished the various pegs in the various conditions.
I was talking to someone this morning standing behind Nick Speed, and he was just casting and getting his gear clipped up so he can cast to the same spot every time. And she was amazed he was casting to exactly the same spot every time. Like dart players, you know, only these guys have got a bigger board and a bit more wind, and they know exactly where they're going to put their tackle.
There's a few ripples on the lake, ripples of applause as well behind a couple of the anglers, because people are catching down there. As we know that Emma Pickering has already caught in the ladies' competition. She's done well to find the shade there. It's an absolutely beautiful afternoon. Now, maybe the biggest event on the Friday is when they have the draw for the peg positions. And watching that for us last night was Julie Collier.
Come noon on Saturday, this lake will be a hive of fishing activity. But where the 16 most envied fishermen in the country will sit depends on what peg number they draw from this bag.
I've just looked at the lake, and the way that the wind's blowing down, I'd fancy something between 6 and 10. So, and it looks like it's going to blow that way tomorrow as well with the temperature. Some fish have pushed down, so between 6 and 10.
What are you hoping for tomorrow?
Only one thing, win. Nothing more than that, that's all it's about. Come down and go home with that trophy, and that's what we're here for. That's all that matters.
Whoever wins this year will have fished really well. It's going to be a proper fishing match.
A very warm welcome then to the official draw for the HotelPlanner.com Fishermania 20. Perry Stone, the birthday boy, number 16.
Is that a good birthday present?
Well, that's the one. That's the one I wanted. I'm not saying it's the winning peg, but in recent years it's always shown the form.
Andrew Leathers, number 8.
I would consider I was probably an underdog in this high-class field, but given I've got a reasonable peg, I've got a good chance.
Tom Pickering, number 13.
I'm not right happy. I don't think it could be one there, to be honest with you, but we'll give it the best shot and see what we can do. But, you know, that's fishing, isn't it?
Darren Cox, number 2.
I certainly do think it's a winning peg. Anywhere around there is a good area, so I'm more than happy with that. Depends on the wind. It's very, very wind affected tomorrow. You know, it's very, very hot, and the fish will be under the ripple. So if there's some ripple there, I'll be more than happy. If there's no ripple, then it'll be hard work.
Nathan Watson, number 12.
I think I'm just out of the favoured areas, but you never know. Fish can be anywhere on the day, so still reasonably confident.
Lee Barrett, number 14.
I'm more than happy. I think it'll be one with 60-70 pound of fish, maybe a little bit more, which is a roughly 12 or 15 carp with what have you got to catch. And I personally believe I can catch 12 or 15 carp of any peg.
Andy Power, number 15.
Bit disappointed, to be honest. I want it to be one of the M pegs or 5 to 10. You never know, it might happen, but probably not.
Jamie Hughes, number 7.
Yeah, it's in the area I wanted. I wanted between 3 and 9, probably. It's been the best area in practice. Hopefully it'll be a good day.
Even though this is your 4th time, are you still excited?
Yeah. It's just the occasion. It's a brilliant match to be in. It's what you strive for all year.
That concludes your draw for Fishermania 20. One of these names will be named Fishermania Champion for 2013.
Well, here is confirmation of who is stationed where on the wonderful Arena Lake. In previous years, pegs 1 and 16 have been the favoured ones. But this year, Keith, where would the anglers like to have been drawn?
It's so hard to say. I mean, Tommy said he didn't fancy peg 13. I've been told in the week that's where all the fish have been accumulating. There's been a huge shoal of fish in peg, around about peg 12 and 13, this sort of area here. There's been lots of carp have been cruising around, digging up the bottom in that area. You know, big carp too, not quite as big as that, but there's been some big carp there digging up all week, and if all they've got to do is feed, and that's where it will be won.
So I had a little walk around earlier and had a chat with all of the anglers, and I think the only angler who was not too happy with his position was Perry Stone, who was on peg 16.
Yeah, Perry, you know, 16 is there's a lot of fish under those two gantries. You see those two gantries out that divide the matches. They're a barrier between the main match and the ladies' match. There are a hole underneath here, underneath these two markers here. They're little gantries across the lake. And as I said, carp haven't got eyelids, no fish have. Any amount of shade, that's where they'll be. And they're under that shade, they're there.
Well, the favourite is Jamie Hughes, and he's living up to his billing as the favourite. I think he's our first angler to have a catch this afternoon.
He said he fancied peg 6 or 7, between 4 and 8. He drew peg 7. He's very, very happy with it. And see, that's a barbel. Now, a lot of the barbel have gone from this lake. They were very old fish.
Well, that was a few minutes ago, and sometimes it's the speed of the hand, isn't it? Get them in the net, cast out, catch another one.
That looks
and
like
this is
another
live
barbel too. So I was speaking to Darren Cox the other day. He caught 1 barbel in practice. Jamie's caught 2 in the first couple of minutes of the match.
And I suppose, like any sport, Keith, that just settles your nerves, even for someone like Jamie Hughes, who fishes for Maver Midlands from higher Beddington on the Wirral, and, well, he's an angling coach, so he's one of the professionals out there, isn't he?
You say it calms the nerves, it probably makes you more nervous and more excited. You think, oh, they're going to last. Will I be able to catch these all day? What sort of weight am I looking for?
Sometimes we can go half an hour without a first fish, though, can't we?
Exactly, we have.
Well, thank you, Keith. Let's get down to the lake then. And we have 4 reporters down there, each looking after 4 of the anglers. And it's a welcome return to Fishermania for the lady of the lake, Ali Shaw.
Oh, I like that, Rob. Thanks very much indeed. Well, first of all, here on peg number 1 is Nick Speed. Now, Nick was really hoping to get any one of these first 4 pegs in the draw, but he was particularly happy to have drawn peg number 1 because it really lends itself to his preferred tactic of using the method feeder, so that bodes well for him. His bank runner is his mate Adam. Now, he just beat Adam in the final qualifier to get his place here at the final. It was very narrow margin, let me tell you. There was 1 fish in it, but a lot of experience here on peg number 1. As we move on to peg number 2 is Darren Cox. Now, this is Darren's 4th Fishermania final. He's one of the most highly regarded match anglers in Britain, and he's fiercely competitive. If you were to cast your mind back to Fishermania 2003, he was just pipped at the post by Matt Hall in the final 39 seconds, so he will be desperate to go 1 better today. And then on peg number 3 there is Craig Jones. Craig's first time here at Fishermania. He saw off a really strong field at Macon to get his place here at the final. He's not one of the big names, but he's here on his merit, as they all are, and well, he's certainly not to be discounted. And finally for me in peg number 4 is Gavin Millis, again a first-timer. Gavin's a bit of an unknown quantity, but he's done well to get here, and again, we can't disregard anybody that's here at the Fishermania finals. And you've got to remember that it was in peg number 4 last year that Warren Martin won Fishermania 2012, so we know that there are fish there. That's it from me. I'll hand you over now to Bryn Law on peg number 5.
Thanks very much, Ali. Well, let's start with one of our first-timers here and the youngest man who's taking part in Fishermania this year. On peg 5, James Dent, just 21 years old, from Yarm in Teesside. Very much a name for the future potential in England under 23 international, and a lot of people keen to see how he gets on his first experience of Fishermania today. From peg 5 to peg 6, and Dale Shepherd, he's made the journey from Wakefield today. Dale is another young guy, 24 years old, and has a lot of anticipation, a lot of expectation riding on his shoulders. Interestingly, on peg 6, he's fished peg 6 through the course of this week, was desperate to draw peg 6 and got it, so we'll be quietly confident they can maximise the opportunity given him from this position. Let's move a little further down the bank here. We go from peg 6 down to peg 7, a man we've already seen quite a lot of. This is our Fishermania experience. 3 first-timers in this section, but as you've already seen, Jamie Hughes has been here before. This is his 3rd opportunity to try and win Fishermania. Last year, he cites as being the biggest disappointment of his angling career because he came fourth, but from a good position and from exactly the same peg. So he knows just how to fish from this position. He said his tactics could have been better this year, determined to improve this year. And so far, so good. He's got 4 fish in the bag already. Jamie Hughes from Bebington. Take you down to the final peg in this particular section of the lake, and that's Andy Leathers from St. Neots. Andy's been in very good form going into this particular competition. He's done well recently. He has experience of the big match fishing, so he could be one to keep an eye on. So far, so quiet for him, but this could be a very busy part of the bank. So there you go, from here to Andy Ford.
Thank you very much, Bryn. Well, we're here on peg 9 and peg 10. We've got 2 champions in this section. Bryn was talking about 2 first-timers, a couple of first-timers in his section. We've got 2 former Fishermania winners here. One of them, of course, Neil McKinnon, the 2010 champion, who won that epic final against Tommy Pickering. Neil has already caught 1 carp this morning. He's fishing shallow in his section here. He's got John Arthur, a former finalist too, as his bank runner. This is a really big match for Neil, and this area of the lake really does lend itself to his style of fishing, to shallow fishing. Just moving across here to peg 10 and Gary Hick. Now, Gary might not be a household name, that's absolutely certain, he'd admit that himself, but don't be fooled, because in the match that he qualified for at Larford Lakes, he actually beat an epic field, a fantastic field of anglers with a weight of over 130 pounds. And the way he did that was fishing down the margins of his swim. So in this area down here in his swim. Now this area is absolutely full of fish. So later on, when he starts to have a look down that margin, do not discount this man. He's a very, very good angler down the edge. We're moving along here. We've got quite a long gap between Gary's peg and peg 11, which is where we'll find Les Thompson. Now, Les has been in the Fishermania final before, of course, 2008, and he finished 8th in that final. And it has to be said, he was very disappointed with his performance in that match. Today, he's got a bit of a point to prove. He's won some really, really big matches. He's one of the most competitive attacking anglers you'll find on the match circuit. And you see the man here with the binoculars. That's Stu Ballard. Stu, of course, was in the final last year and has more experience than anybody else on this lake. Moving across, of course, to peg 12, the final peg in this section. And there's a man who needs no introduction to anybody who's familiar with Fishermania. It's, of course, Nathan Watson, the 2002 Fishermania champion, the man who won the 2010 Champion of Champions event. Nathan, one of the most competitive anglers anywhere on the circuit too, and this really is a situation that's going to suit him too. Now, I happen to know there's a very big bet gone on between Nathan and Tommy Pickering. And that's a pound between the person who catches the most fish. I can report, though, that Nathan had to borrow his pound from Alan Scotthorne, the 5-time world champion. Rob, what do you reckon to that?
Well, there's going to definitely be a big battle between these two. The pound, well, it's a matter of honour, isn't it? But Tommy will be desperate to get this title. What can you say about Tommy Pickering? Well, he's just won virtually everything. World champion, UK champion 3 times, club champion, gold medalist. Absolutely incredible. He wants to add this Fishermania title to his list of many, many wins. Now, let's look at the man next door to him, Yorkshireman, fellow Yorkshireman, Lee Barrett. Come over here from Wakefield. He's having a little bit of bother, actually, with some ducklings. He's fishing shallow just on in front of him there, and you can see the ducks there after the feed, pestering him a little bit, but he's been here before. He knows the score. He is no stranger to pressure. Now, just like Andy, we've got a bit of a gap, and believe me, there is an awful lot of fish in this gap just in front of us. A lot of carp there just cruising under the surface, and that plays well and truly into the hands of this man, Andy the Power, 25 years old from Wells in Somerset, and he is devastating. Won a number of big matches already, big match money winner, and he has been here before, so he's used to pressure, knows exactly what the position is. And then we run up now to the final peg, peg 16. It's the end peg. It's Perry Stone. The man from Surrey, once again, very, very capable. Been here 3 times already and is very, very good on the pole. In fact, he is the reigning British pole champion.
In the back for Andy Power. And that will go to the next weigh in about 25 minutes' time. Let's have an idea who may be leading. Let's go down to the weigh-ins. I think first of all we're going to go down to Andy Ford.
Thanks, Rob. Just trying to get out of the way of Neil McKinnon's pole. He's just shipping back. He's had 3 fish in the first session. John, would you be kind enough to do the honours? John Arthur is Neil McKinnon's bank runner. Of course, John has been in the final a couple of times himself. Very experienced match angler. It really is a great team effort here. Don't just concentrate on the anglers involved, but their bank runners play a massively important role in this process. Now then, 3 Cudmore carp caught shallow. And David Kent's doing the honours. He's the man on the scales today. David, what have we got there?
7 kilos there. 7 kilos, 170.
7 kilos, 170 for Neil McKinnon in his first weigh. Over to Ali.
Thanks very much indeed. Well, great start here from Craig Jones on peg number 3. So, Terry, if you want to just get the fish out for us, we'll take it up for the first weigh-in. And as I say, a really cracking start. And he said that he's really relaxed into it, Craig. He's got 3 carp, 2 good-sized carp, and a smaller one. We'll bring it up to Dick, who's going to do the honours for us. Dick, a pretty impressive start, isn't it?
It's not bad, especially from this area. I think that the amount of people on the bank, there's 2 good fish there, isn't there? Which is tremendous at this point. Just get this weight in here. Oops.
In they go, a bit of wriggling always at this stage, but we'll get them in safely. The lads always like to be sure that they can do this as quickly and safely as they can, so there we go. Almost out. One's being a little bit tricky.
Well, just... Is it stuck in the net?
One of them seems to be struggling to get that one out the net.
No. Yeah. You cannot do it at one. No, you're doing it wrong. You're turning it wrong way around now. Come on. That's it.
There we are. They're all in safely. That's good. Okay, so Dick's going to get them onto the scales and make this as quick as we can. All right, Dick.
Just a second. 4 kilos, 280. 4 kilos, 280.
All right, great start here from Craig Jones on peg 3. I'll pass you now to Brynlaw for his weigh-in.
Thanks, Ali. Well, I have seen a lot of Fishermanias, but I don't think I've seen a first half hour like we've seen on peg 7 so far. Jamie Hughes has been absolutely prolific, and it's a very full bag indeed. He's in double figures in terms of the number of catches made. Predominantly, it's been barbel that he's been landing so far, as you'll see now when this bag is emptied out. This is, for the first 30 minutes of Fishermania, a very impressive looking bag. I think you'd say there's both quantity and quality there. Still some at the bottom, so if we had a quick head count, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 30, probably about 14 fish, I think, in the bag here. So it has been a fantastic 30 minutes for Jamie Hughes. Remember, on exactly the same peg last year. Here we go.
7 kilos, 820.
A sensational start from Jamie Hughes. 7 kilos, over 7 kilos in the first bag of the day.
So a great start there from Jamie Hughes. This is the top half of the leaderboard. Gary Hick, one of the first timers, 2.3. Andy Power there. Darren Cox a returner. Nathan Watson, much fancied. He's won Fishermania twice, once before, should I say. And of course, is the champion of champions. James Dent off to a very comfortable start with 6 kilos. Neil McKinnon, a lot of big money going on Neil McKinnon. And Jamie Hughes, the favourite, 7.82, so it's close.
In every section on the board as well. Every one of our Bankside reporters has got an angler in that top 10, the top 8.
And unfortunately, Gavin Millis so far has not had the best of weeks because they misspelt his name on his shirt. Yeah, but Gavin Millis on peg 4 has had nothing so far, and Tommy Pickering, the seasoned, experienced, former world champion, on peg 13 has been unlucky so far, just half a kilo of fish on the leaderboard. Also a confident start from 15 of our 16 anglers so far, but things will change. I don't think the weather's going to change. Previous years, sometimes the sun has gone away and the rain has come down, and that can affect the angling. Our expert at the bankside, again, sadly he's not qualified, but that means that he's with us, is Andy May. Andy, tell us how important the weather conditions and the temperature conditions are this afternoon.
Oh, it's unbelievable, mate. I mean, you can see how warm it is on that, 35 degrees, and I'll just put it in the water. That was the air temperature, 35. I just got it out of my bag, but putting it in the water, and the water's roughly sort of 25, 26 degrees. It's so hot, and obviously that's what's pushing all the fish up. Everywhere I look around the lake, you know, there's signs of fish everywhere. I ain't caught any yet, though. What's going on?
That's better than the local baths, isn't it? 29 degrees in the water.
Oh, mate, I want to jump in. I do. I just want to go for it. It's sweltering here. It really is.
So what difference does that make to the fish down there? Does that mean they're just going to coast along on the top of the water?
Yeah, basically, yeah. There'll be, you know, a lower oxygen at the bottom of the water and higher oxygen level up the top of the water. So, I mean, basically just looking around the lake, that's where all the fish are, and that's where everyone's fishing, either in the shallow water right over on a method or something on a feeder, or up in the water, you know, on the pole, shallow, literally a foot deep, something like that. There's fish swirling literally everywhere, so I think that'll be the right tactics today, that shallow method.
You see lots of fish cruising, Andy. Are they showing signs of feeding?
Not really. There's odd ones coming into your peg. You seem to get like 2 or 3 come into your peg, and when that happens, you'll get one of them. But if it's just one cruising through, you'll have a flick to it and you won't catch it. You need 2 or 3. You need them competing, really. So I think last couple of hours today, I mean, I know there's a few been caught already, but last couple of hours, I think they'll really have a chew. And hopefully I'll catch one.
Brilliant.
We've got the tank down there just in case he does catch one, and these promises a big goldfish in the tank by the end of the day as well. Well, Andy's caught nothing, but the man who has been most prolific so far, our leader, is Jamie Hughes. Lucky 7. You can't see, but he's in his right here. He's got an earphone, and we've got the microphone on him as well. What a fantastic start for the man from the Wirral. Congratulations.
Thank you, mate.
What's your secret so far?
I think I'm just on a bit of a gang of barbel, to be honest. I've got lucky there in the first half hour. I think I had 7 or 8 barbels short. You know, we've just gone out and there's a few carp starting to feed as well.
Catching on pellet shallow, Jamie?
I am, Keith, yeah. So I don't think this one is in the mouth, unfortunately.
Really? Yeah.
I've just had one, £4. I had that first chuck when I went out shallow. So I think this has gone over the back of this one.
So you get that one. Matt put it a bit bigger than £4, but we'll believe you, shall we?
No, it's probably £4.5.
Yeah.
Hi Jamie, it's Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Hi, mate. Mate. Yeah, I was interested in your inside line, or well, something like top 3 with 3 on, was it?
Yeah.
Was you feeding worms here or casters?
Just loose feeding casters, Matt.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There's a nice little gang of barbel you got lined up.
Mate. They give themselves away, mate. They were jumping before the start.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's nice. Are you going to have another go from at some point? Or
I am. I'm just going to... I think it's best just to keep giving them half an hour and then going back on them, try and catch another 10. And...
Yeah, we sort of preempted that you were giving them a bit of a rest.
Yeah, and there's just a bit too much activity going on around here, so I thought, let them be quiet for a bit and build up again.
Yeah, just thought I'd catch a couple of £4 carp while I'm waiting. Well done, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Good start.
Matt Hall, the only angler to win Fishermania twice, has joined Rob Palmer and Keith Arthur in the studio.
Well, I don't know if we can get how good this is going to work, but that's where he is. Peg 7. And he was very confident of drawing that area. He said he wanted to be anywhere between 4 and 8. He really fancied 6 because he found a gang of barbel there in the week. They've either followed him around or they're between 6 and 7. And the barbel, as you know, they dig little holes.
Yeah.
They dig little circular holes in the bottom and they feed and gather in those holes. And when anything spooks them, they're in there. And you're on them and they're there, then they're at home, you can catch them.
How important is the preparation as well? He said he's been down here this week and he's actually fished on that peg. It's important, isn't it, supposed to get there and to fish all of the pegs? And some of the guys, not many of them, just turn up on the day, do they?
No, none of them do. The first thing is he found that. Now, one of the things that I like to do when I go to a venue is to find out what it's like, the distance across, so you can know how far you've got to cast, how much weight you need on your feeders, how you're going to mix your ground bait, how deep it is, what sort of depth you're going to make your pole rigs at, what depth, because you want shallow rigs, deeper shallow rigs, and bottom rigs, so you know the margins. Sometimes you can split a rig, can't you? Your deep shallow rig will work in the margin as well.
Yeah, sometimes.
Down to peg 11, Les Thompson, who was 8 to 1 at the start of the day's play.
You can see again that
Carpenter from the
film.
West Midlands, go on.
See that film of dust there on the surface? That's detritus and dust that's blown off the island. There'll be little food items in that. The shucks of the flies that are hatching off the lake, they'll all be in that. And it's also a bit of shade for the fish. And there are a lot of fish under it. And Les said he was looking to be pegged in that kind of area. It's where the breezes meet, so you get that accumulation. He was very happy with that draw.
Yeah, cod like to accumulate under it, and you often hear a bit of a giveaway where they're sucking on the surface,
Yeah.
just sucking particles. You can hear them, you know, giving sucking noises, and you know that they're feeding in that area. It's always a good sign.
James Dent, who's currently in 3rd place down there on peg 5, the baby of the field, only 21 years of age, who angles for the Barnsley Blacks, but as you say, a very promising angler.
He's already a terrific angler, and he promises to be frightening, I'll tell you. I mean, Alan Scotthorne rates him very, very highly, and there's no better praise than that. But if you saw James when he started, I noticed he was flicking his pole over. And what he's doing there is, it's a method called slapping. And what he's doing, he's picking out some pellets, and then he's lifting his rig out and he's slapping the rig on the water to imitate the sound of the pellets he's loose fed. But there's only one pellet, and that's on his hook. So the carp see that, I think there's more pellets to go out. I'll have that one first. And it's a really great method when they're shallow, but not really gagging for it. You can sometimes throw buckets of bait at them and none of them sink more than 6 inches. But when, as Andy said, they're not really feeding, you've got to tease them into feeding. And that's what James was doing. You've got to be a strong man. You've got 15, 16 metres of carbon and you're flicking it round 2 or 3 times, you know, every other second. It takes some doing.
It does, and also it's the noise factor with carp.
Yeah.
They're listening out for the pellets hitting the water. Look at that, that's a lovely fish. Ghost carp, see how it's trying to fight its way out.
Ghost mirror, that is.
Yeah.
You've got the 2 worst things. You've got a ghost carp which fight like a stink and a mirror which fight harder than common. It's a double whammy.
Exactly that.
Well, let's go down now to Ali Shaw. I think she's still a schoolgirl when we first started Fishermania, but she's down there and she'll update us on what's happening with our anglers.
I'm flattered. I'm not going to respond, but thanks. Yeah, we're back at peg 3 here, so should we get the fish out and do the weigh-in then? So Jamie is going to take it out on behalf of Craig Jones here, because we reckon that this is probably the best of our 4 pegs at the moment. And Craig's been fishing pole and pellet, which he kind of expected that he would be doing in these conditions. So it's been working so far. I think Jamie reckoned that this might be about 4 pounds, which is what, 2.2 kilos or something. So we'll see what Dick thinks. All right, Dick, let's see what you make of this one.
I don't think we've weighed a big fish yet, anybody. It is 2 kilos. 310 grams. 2 kilos, 310 grams.
Not bad at all. Thanks very much indeed, Dick. So that's where we stand with Craig Jones on peg 3. I'll pass you now to Andy Ford.
Thank you very much, Ali. We're over on peg 12 with Nathan Watson. Dean, if you would do the honours, please. Nathan has just, this second, hit a bite. So we're just going to get Dean to very carefully get Nathan's keep net out. Dean, could you pass the net to us, do you think? Just get out the way of Nathan's pole. Very important moment, this. Nathan, in the last weigh-in, was in 5th place with 4 kilos 650. And on the bank, he's had 2 decent carp in his net. You'd prefer to wait, or you? We can wait. We can come back to this. We're going to come back to this in a second. I'll throw you over to Bryn Law, who's going to take things forward. We'll come back and have a look in a second. Bryn, over to you, matey.
Thanks, Andy. Well, let's see how the leader's getting on, shall we? He's still catching consistently here. I think there's a variety of fish in this bag this time. It's predominantly barbel in the first half hour. Hasn't been quite the same turnover in terms of the speed that he's been putting the rod in and whipping them straight back out again. It's slowed down a little, but still catching fish, and still with the opportunity here to maybe increase that lead at the top of the board. Very early days, of course, but good signs for Jamie Hughes. The bag coming around now, and again, you'll see straight away that there's good quantity and potentially good quality inside this bag. Here we go. They're all in. At least one decent-sized carp, I think, in there. So here we get the weight.
6 kilos, 210.
It's another terrific bag. 6 kilos, 210. Jamie Hughes is setting the pace.
Well then, Nathan Watson, peg 12, has just landed that fish. You can see that happening now. And so we've now got 3 fish for Dean to to bring up to the scales. Now this is going to be very interesting because I fancy we may end up with a new leader here. Nathan was in 5th place after the first weigh, and he had 4 kilos 650. He's got 3 fish, 2 very good sized fish. Just trying to get his hole out of the way here. There's so much stuff, so little room to work with here on the bank. You'll notice that the fish get put onto a mat to protect the carp from being damaged, which is very important. We're trying to look after the fish at all times here, especially in this weather. The mat is wet from the water from the keep net that's just come out. So 3 fish for Nathan Watson. 4 kilos 650 after his first weigh-in. Right then, here we go. So David's just taking those 3 fish. Now I need about 5 kilo to actually take the lead from James Dent. It's going to be close, I think. 1 second. What have we got, David?
We've got 5, we've got 6.
6 kilos.
Yeah. $6 kilos 700.
6 kilos 700 for Nathan Watson, and I think that puts him in the lead.
Not quite. 2nd place for Nathan Watson, but within striking distance of Jamie Hughes.
Fishermania is probably the pinnacle of British match fishing. When you've got Fishermania champion title on your angling CV, there's nothing better.
It's got to be every match angler's dream to win Fishermania. It's the pinnacle of your angling career if you win it, and I would just love to win it.
It gets the most coverage on TV, it gets the most anglers actually clambering to get the tickets, it gets the support from everybody, from the media. So it's the one that's really in the spotlight.
Well, these are the famous faces of fishing down there. Currently in 3rd place on peg 5 is James Dent, who's supported by his mum Sarah, dad Michael, brother Rob. It's a fishing family. His first experience of Fishermania. But he's making a name for himself already, an England under-23 international. During the week, by the way, he's normally a joiner.
We make and fit bespoke kitchens or furniture. Sometimes I'm in here making the actual products, and then other times I'm out, well, most of the time I'm out fitting.
He's worked here for a while now and he does a pretty good job here, and apparently he's fairly good with fishing rod as well, so he leads us to believe.
Yeah, they're very laid back on me, having a bit of some time off, and can't fault it at all, they're good to me.
We have a bit of a motto on fitting team, which is work hard but play harder, and I think James certainly sticks to that whether he's fishing or working, so yeah, we're proud of him, he's doing a good job, so yeah, good for him, I hope he does well.
Having heard from his work colleagues, we then caught up with James and his dad on the family farm, where he gets to practice another of his hobbies.
Well, my granddad was John Joseph, my dad's John Arthur. Obviously I'm John Michael and that's John James, so it's just a family trait, a bit of a thing to follow on really. I don't fish at all. Whatever he does, it's his own thing, you know what I mean? It's his own, you know. None of us have ever taught him anything. I know nothing about fishing, but it's what he does is in him. Well, he's only got 16 to be then, 15 to be. He's done the hard work, hasn't he? You know, I mean, a lot of good anglers, but he's in there, in it to win it. Oh!
When I was younger, my granddad took me to a local pond, and there was trout and a few bigger fish who we didn't really know what they were, and I caught one, and it was a carp of about 14 pounds. It that sort of hooked me on fishing, so on carp fishing. Not long after I started fishing, I joined a local club and sort of made a few friends, and then moved on to fishing a few opens. I was lucky enough to have Mark Calvert, the farmer from next door. He sort of took me on board and took me from one level to the next level. I was at Fishermania. I was lucky enough to sit behind Andy Geldart, who was my close friend, travelling partner, and he done well, come third. Just wasn't quite lucky enough to have that bit of luck that you need to win a final like that, but I'm sure he will one day. He's going to sit behind me and hopefully guide me in the right direction. One of the biggest achievements is definitely qualifying for Fishermania. It's obviously the biggest final there is in fishing, and everyone wants to qualify for it. So yeah, qualifying for Fishermania means a lot. Oh! It's a circle lake. You say it can't get much fairer, but there is a couple of advantages and disadvantages, but I won't be too disheartened wherever I join. Obviously, you're one of the lucky 16 that gets to the final, so just take your chance and make the best of it.
Well, we've had a good half hour down on Peg 5 for James Dent. You've watched some of what he's been doing in the last 30 minutes or so. Let's see the fruits of his labours now. He's in third position, nicely tucked in. So another good 30 minutes could put him right in contention. Youngest competitor in Fishermania this year at 21 years of age. We'll be with Jamie Hughes shortly. Look at those 3 good-sized fish. And let's see the impact of that. Very lively in there. Here we go.
6 kilos, 60 grams.
6 kilos, 60 grams, an excellent half an hour for James Dent.
Nathan was in second position after 2 weighs with just over 11 kilos. He's got 2 carp in his net. He's having a fairly successful little period of the match. He's got a lot of fish in his peg, and he's doing that technique of slapping his rig onto the water to try and attract a fish to take his bait. As I say, 2 fish for Nathan. They're about 3 kilos, they reckon. Dean Smith, Nathan's bank runner, estimates 3 kilos. So the fish are certainly cruising around, or they're not feeding readily. If you watch carefully when Nathan's fishing, you'll see so many fish are spooked around his float when he moves his rig around. So David's just going to pop the sling onto the scales. David, what do you reckon we got there? It's gone over 3, hasn't it?
Three kilos, 390.
3 kilos, 390 for Nathan Watson on Peg 12.
Well, let's see how the leader's getting on, shall we? He's still catching, and as you'll see, there's another one on there, but let's see what's happened in the previous half an hour. Whilst he catches consistently, he can maintain, if not extend, that lead at the top of the board. Let's see how he's got on in the last 30 minutes or so. Big crowds gathering on the bank behind the man from Bebington, Jamie Hughes. Big crowds, I'm sure, watching on the TV as well. I know there's a crowd of people. There's a Fishermania party takes place every year, annual event in Welling, Jess and the gang. Every time the hooter goes, everybody has another drink, so they'll be in a good mood at the moment. Not a bad idea, that, to be honest, is it? I do pretty much the same myself as well. It's what gets me through. Let's have a look how Jamie's got on here. Excellent again. He's going to be a hard man to beat. It's very early to make such a statement, but it does look like there's quite a pace being set here now. And again, some big fish in the bag.
Seven kilos, 260.
It's another bag in excess of 7 kilos. The lead will be stretched.
Well, I can tell you that Jamie Hughes has extended his lead. I believe he has a total weight at the moment of 21.29 kilos. James Dent has moved from third place into second, leaping ahead of Nathan Watson. James, in his last half an hour, had a catch of just over 6 kilos. Nathan Watson's gone a wee bit quiet. He had 3.3 kilos in the last half an hour, giving him a total of 14.74. Neil McKinnon, much fancied at the start of the day, has won Fishermania previously. He's in 4th place, a healthy 4 kilos, giving him a total at the moment of 11.45 kilos. That's the top half of the leaderboard. The bottom half, only the unfortunate Gavin Millis is yet to find a fish out there in the lake. Tommy Pickering is moving up the leaders board from second to last place to 10th with a catch in the last half an hour of 3.5 kilos. A reminder, we have, 10 weigh-ins during the course of the 5 hours of Fishermania, 3 so far. Anybody could yet take the title, and the £30,000 for winner takes all, and the coveted trophy as well. Even Les Thompson currently in 12th place on peg 11. So far, only 2.92 kilos. He could be about to double that though, couldn't he?
I'll tell you the other thing about this. Matt just pointed out to me a few seconds ago, this is, I'm sure, his second carp.
It is.
In 2 puttings. Yeah. Now, have they moved in? Have they started to just move out from under that layer of scum on the top? Have they started to come out from there? Like, are they getting a little bit peckish? Has he found the right depth to catch them out? Has he found the right amount of feed to put in to get them? Is he going to catch some more? You know, are they going to keep coming?
This is Jamie on his inside line again.
He's back on his short rig, on his barbel rig. Recognise the black float.
Yeah. That's quality, him swapping and chopping and changing from one to another. That's a sign of an angler on his game.
I hate to think how many years ago, probably 40 years ago, Kenny Giles said to me, the great Kenny Giles of the old Shakespeare super team, Cofton Hackett, never leave your swim empty.
No.
Just over a minute to go before the next weigh-in. Weigh-in number 4 of 10, of course.
Else. James Dent with another one.
James Dent currently in second place, 6 kilos behind the leader, Jamie Hughes. At this stage of the afternoon, it matters not whether you get it in before the hooter, but reminder, if you've not seen Fishermania before, you have to get it in the net to have it in the final weigh, and that's where it becomes very exciting, just after 5 o'clock. We're going to go around the lake for the weigh now. I think we can go down to the lakeside. First of all, let's join Ali Shaw.
Yeah, well, biggest fish so far here on peg 2, and let's find out what Darren Cox has caught so far. Do you want to take this out then, Simon, and we'll see. What did you reckon it might be, Simon?
Between 2 and 2.5 kilos, I would have thought.
And how do you think things have gone so far? Are things going to plan, do you think? You can speak on behalf of Darren.
It's a little bit slow, probably slower than we expected, but yeah, he's sticking to the game plan.
Thank you. Right, now let's see what it weighs. All right, Dick, what have we got here?
Looks like 2 kilos. Let's have a look. Two kilos. 300 exactly. 2 kilos, 300.
300, so not as big as the last one, which made him the biggest fish, but it still all adds, doesn't it? I'll pass you now to Bryn.
Got to say, I've done a lot of Fishermanias. I've rarely seen a performance like this where he's just consistently kept bringing fish. Every time you look at Jamie Hughes, there's another little ripple of anticipation going up on the bank from his supporters because he's caught another fish. Let's see how well he's done in the last half an hour. Bag to come out, plenty in there again. And you can tell when it's a little bit more subdued around other areas of the bank, you know that people perhaps aren't catching. Wait till you see what's in here. This guy most definitely is. A fantastic number of fish coming over now. And if Jamie Hughes doesn't extend his lead here, I will be amazed. A good variety. He's been back on the barbel in the last half hour. He catches carp, then he goes back on the barbel, and I'm told by his bagman there could be 1 million barbel out there yet. Well, he's made quite a good dent on that number already, I can tell you so far. Let's have a look at this one. Another good bag.
Too much.
It's going to have to be double bagged, this one. Too much weight in it. That is already ominous for the competition. It's gone right round the scales and off again. So we're going to have to split this up and weigh them in 2. Let's see if this works. So this is part 1. Trying to keep the fish cool here. We're all trying to stay cool here. Lively as everything here.
8 kilos, 700.
8 kilos, 700. Bag 1. Remember, bag 1. 8 kilos, 700. I think that's the biggest bag thus far. Second bag to come. Where's the second
So
bag
we
gone,
need to
people?
zero this net before we can weigh the next.
We have to zero the net now. I'm not entirely sure what that means, I must confess, but I'm sure somebody will tell me. We're here, we're in, we're on. So the first bag's gone out, second one to put on. And there's another whopper in there, isn't there? Here we go.
3 kilos, 510.
3 kilos, 510. I'll let you guys do the math.
12 kilos, 210 I make it, and that gives Jamie Hughes a significant lead over nearest rival James Dent. Nathan Watson, Andy Leathers and Neil McKinnon round out the top 5, but already their best hope may lie with the biggest fish prize. Stay with us for more action after the break.
Look at this Jamie's float. Now look, that's bobbing up and down. There's so many fish there. Look, it's just a barbel nest. That's what he's got there. And you can see his float was moving. There's just fish moving around the bait. Then one will grab it and it's game on. But he's not striking at those little indications. He's waiting until he gets a proper bite, thanking the fish. Really making a way, as you say, thank you, Mr. Fish, for he lifted the float. Yeah. So you don't miss the bite. And that's what you've got to do. You strike at all those little digs and jerks. You foul up when it panics out to swim, the others follow it. You know, you've got to just fish smoothly.
The state of play here, Rob, is that he's catching as many carp on top as everybody else who's got that one method. He's got method B in his pocket, where he's catching barbel on the inside line. Nobody else has got that method, or nobody else is making it work. So he's catching as many as everybody else on what everybody else is doing, and also he's topping it up with a line that he's just got to himself.
See, some of the anglers thought those barbel weren't in here. Plenty of people are told the barbel are gone. They've all died, they're all 20 years old, they've all gone. They're not. That looks alive to me. And he's got loads of them. And he's the only one who's fished for him. Yeah. The only one who's got the whole lake to himself.
Bang on cue as well, he's got it in. And he, just a small fish by his standards, but that's going to take his total up as we await another hooter. Well, this is how he has caught this afternoon. He has been consistent in every half-an-hour period, hasn't he?
You might need a taller building. I mean, that's sensational catching. That's probably as consistent for good weights as we've ever seen in a Fishermania final.
Yeah.
And there is Neil McKinnon. We heard from Neil, who of course was the winner dramatically in 2010. Currently in 5th place, down there on peg 9. He'll be desperate to add some weight to his cumulative total to start to make some ground on the 4 anglers ahead of him. Well, there was the hooter. Let's get down there. We're at half-time. Let's go find out about the weigh-ins.
You've not seen an awful lot of us down at this end of the pond because it has been flat, calm and pretty quiet, but there has been drama in the swim of Lee Barrett. He's on a bit of a charge at the moment, got between 5 and 6 kilos. The scalesmen are just on their way around. They're just next door at the moment. But if you just have a look down here at my feet, you will see the debris of disaster, broken pieces of pole. Now, it's not the first time it's happened. He lost his tip section a little bit earlier. The top 2 came out, disappeared across the surface of the lake. He's managed to catch them, and would you believe it, on the end was a carp of about 3 pounds. So, as it goes at the moment, we have the scalesman just about to run in. Can we see if we can get this net out and have a look at what sort of size we've got? We'll speed this one up. I can't get through at the moment. There's a hurdle in the way, but of course this is the most important part, getting that back in the water. The ducks have been causing him a bit of bother earlier as well. There's 5 little mallard ducklings out there, certainly liking his bait. And where are we now? He's hopefully going to be challenging for 4th place. Now, he's got a long way to go to catch Jamie, but it's not over until it's over. Where are we now? They're bouncing around on the scales there, as they do. Accuracy is incredibly important. 4 kilos, 940. Not quite as much as we want, but we're coming after you, Bryn Law. We're coming after you.
Well, let's see whether you're gaining ground on Jamie Hughes. I'll fancy that this might have been his quietest half hour. That isn't to say that he hasn't caught anything. He's caught plenty, but we'll see how much he's been able to put in that bag in the previous 30 minutes. He's back out there again fishing for carp. The tactics throughout the day have been go for the barbel. They reckon, as we said earlier on, that there are loads of them just off the bank. Then leave it for a little while, come back and coat, go back out for the carp again, and come back for the barbel. He's been mixing it up. Many people on the bank here describing it as the perfect performance thus far from Jamie Hughes. And as you'll see again, if that's a quiet half hour, there's plenty around the bank who would certainly take that.
£5 kilos, 550.
5 kilos, 550, consistent catching from the man out in front.
So at the halfway stage, Jamie Hughes has a huge lead, having caught more than double that of his nearest rival, James Dent. Lee Barrett is moving his way up the leaderboard. Still no joy for poor Gavin Mills. So far, he has nothing to show for his efforts.
Well, there is our leader, Jamie Hughes, mic'd for sound. Jamie, we are just working out exactly what your lead is, but you're having an exceptional afternoon. I mean, you can pop up to the pub, have a couple of pints and come back and give the others a chance.
Oh, no, definitely not. I've got to keep going.
Is it all going according to the master plan? Is this how it happened in the dream last night?
Yeah, to an extent. These barbel are the biggest bonus I could possibly ask for, do you know what I mean? I think I've got the only gang of them on the lake.
There's nobody else even looked for them, Jamie. I know you saw them there, but you know, there's a lot of areas of bubbles coming up around the lake, and they could quite easily be barbel,
yeah,
but nobody seems to be having a look.
No, they have been very, very absent in practice. So whether they've been a bit quiet with the weather or what, I don't know.
Now, one question, plan A and B so far have been perfect.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan C?
Yeah, possibly.
Would it be soft and squidgy?
It certainly would, mate.
I heard you've been banging on the pace during the week, and as you've not used that yet, if you look at the conditions, I mean, what do you want for pace fishing? You want it hot and humid and sultry, and you've got exactly that. Do you think that'll work?
It'll work, but to be honest, it was my plan for the first 3 hours before they came shallow properly.
Yeah.
So whether I'll have to do it, I don't know. They tend to be a lot smaller when you get them on the bottom of the carp out long.
And is plan D the margin, or are you not bothering?
It is, just in case, but the margin was open with some barbel in this area, so I don't think I'm having to do that.
But it looks like you're enjoying your day as well. I mean, we all love catching fish, don't we? We love fishing big matches.
Yeah.
And you seem to be having the time of your life.
Oh, it's been, the first hour was a bit nerve-wracking, but once you settle in, it's lovely now. I'm really enjoying myself now.
Well, that is the main event. We do have 6 pegs where the top lady anglers in the country are competing. Dad Tom is in the men's event. Daughter Emma was in second place last time that we had a weigh, and she'd had a catch of 2.5 kilos, but she's had a very good last 60 minutes.
But it's very smooth, keeping the rod low, keeping the fish high in the water. Remember that fish will pull to the opposite way that you pull, so if you pull up, they'll want to go down. You keep the rod low, it keeps them in the upper layers, keeps them coming in a straight line nice and smoothly, and then when all things works properly, they glide into your landing net. Sometimes carp have an unusual habit of not wanting to. But there, that small net comes into play again. And that small net, she's not got the same strength as some of the big guys. That long net was out there with a small head, she's got the fish in it.
Well, she's a very talented angler, Emma Pickering. This is confirmation after 3 weigh-ins. Of course, the ladies' weigh-in is after every hour, but she has almost double the catch so far of Helen Dagnall as we go into the final hour of the ladies' event there. We've now had 2 decades of Fishermania. The idea of Barry Hearn, but you never thought 20 years on you'd have something like this, would you?
No, it's always nice when a plan comes. There was the A-team always said when a plan comes together. But you know, you're right, because when we first did it, it was so left field, it was so original a concept that everyone said, oh, you know, give it a year. It was the early days of Sky, of course. You know, would never have happened anywhere else in the world. And they said, give it a year and see how you go. And here we are, 20 years, and as you pointed out, Keith, signed for another 5, so we're going to make a quarter of a century
Oh, is
at
that
the
right?
very least. Yeah.
And in your mind, what is the best part of the way that it's evolved over the years?
I think really the fact is it ticks so many different boxes. You know, it brings kids in because they watch fishing, you know. I mean, we all talk about trouble on the street and kids and lack of sporting, you know, but there are ways to go fishing. And fishing does teach you so many things. I mean, being honest, it teaches you a love of the environment. It teaches you patience. It teaches you so many things that are character building. And at the same time, there is nothing like having a fish on the end of a rod. You know, I don't care how old you are. I took my granddaughter fishing a couple of weeks ago. She's nearly 4. And I bought a little tiny rod, plastic thing, and I dangled it in one of my little lakes at home, and she caught a 3-pound carp. And this rod was like breaking. But the look on her face was, Bazza, what do I do now? Welcome to fishing. And hopefully that'll sit with her for the rest of her life.
You quite fancy being out there as well.
Mate,
I can see by that look in your eyes.
I've fished a few qualifying rounds of this, and you don't realise, I've walked around this lake and said best of luck to all the 16 anglers and said the same thing to all of them. You've done the tough part.
Well, Barry's come to join us from the heat outside in the cool of the studio. But let's get back to the 33-degree weather down by the waterside.
Well, down here it's a little bit of doom and gloom, would you believe it? On the last weigh, both wingman, now that's Perry Stone and that's Tommy Pickering, neither of them weighed in anything. Andy Power, 300 grams. That's how tough it is. However, the wind has just put a bit of ripple on the water over the last hour, and this man is the mover and shaker in my section. As you can see, he's now got another fish on. He's having a bit of a power up, 4.5 kilos or 20 grams just under on that last weigh, and he's shot up from 6th place, now challenging for 2nd. So it's certainly getting very interesting over here at the moment.
But Barrett is still a long way off the leader, Jamie Hughes. The angler from Merseyside has extended his commanding lead even further as we enter the last 2 hours of fishing.
I'm going to tell you, Barry Herning's the man who's so prepared. As the rest of us were fighting the traffic here today, and part of the M6 close to where we are today, Barry came over the traffic and arrived in his helicopter.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
Well, it's the little things in life, you know. I looked down and saw this queue of traffic and thought, I'm making the right move here because, you know, it's a long way. It took an hour from my house. And that's a blessing when you've got so many events. It's you people's fault for keeping us so busy. You've got the big boxing night at Hull tonight. Got to get back to watch that, goodness me. So,
and you had to come from the hotel, which is 2.8 miles away. How long did that take, Matt?
It took me over an hour.
Over an hour.
Yeah,
I flew up from just south of Chelmsford, and got here in just exactly on the hour. And it was what a scene as you come in and you see the big screen. I was taking pictures out the window. You know, it's just a fantastic event, and I'm so proud of it that it's lasted.
Well, it does appear that the £30,000 could be heading to the Wirral with Jamie Hughes, but the other 15 anglers are all going for the £1,000 for the biggest fish of the day. Now, down on peg 15 is a massive contender for the biggest fish. Andy Power is doing battle with an enormous fish. Nobody wants to speak. Nobody wants to put him off. Even Keith is silenced for what? I know it wouldn't last long.
This looks like a very, very big fish. Oh, that is a big fish.
Yeah.
You were mentally catching it for him.
I was, yeah. I was with him all the way there. Oh, that's bigger.
That's 4.5 kilo, isn't it?
Yeah. The thing is, with these very, very shallow rigs, when the fish do start feeding, the bigger fish feed closer to the surface. They've got their noses in the trough first. That's why they get big. They browse on everything that comes by. They're eating it.
From what we've seen so far, that's surely the biggest fish, isn't it?
I think so.
Even from my, my novice angle.
I would say that's 4 kilos and a bit.
But this could be a contender. This is James Dent, who's currently in 2nd place, a young farmer from Yarm.
A little bit of ripples made a difference.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that going to be 3.5 kilos?
It's close-ish.
Right, let's go down to the lake. Bryn has some more news for us.
There's another ripple of applause just broken out here behind peg 7, where the crowds really are beginning to build now, because I think there's a sense that the people who are here are watching a winner in action. It's been a consummate performance so far from Jamie Hughes. A fantastic performance so far, and every half hour has brought another impressive yield, even whilst those around other areas on the lakeside really have struggled over the last couple of hours. I think Keith mentioned earlier, you always expect even the leaders have a quiet hour or half hour, but that hasn't happened here. He's kept catching fish consistently all day long.
Trying to get in.
The long way round. Let's get that bag. The fish transferred. Look at the size of a couple of those in there. Excellent. That has been a very good half hour.
Yeah. Nine kilos, 220.
9 kilos, 220. He's getting very, very close now.
We can now confirm the state of affairs after 7 weigh-ins. Normally, you would say, well, from kind of 6th to 2nd place, it's very competitive and anybody could win it. That would be if Jamie Hughes was not here. In the last half an hour, he had a bag of 9.22 kilos, a total weight of 53.12, a lead of 26.29 kilos, which is almost twice the bag, twice the cumulative weight of Andy Leathers in 2nd place. So this is where we are. The leader, Jamie Hughes, during the course of the afternoon, a complete total of fish caught, 53.12 kilos. Meanwhile, last place, poor old Gavin Millis, nothing so far, but there's a little flurry of activity from him. Let's hope that he catches something, surely. Surely, it's his big moment in the sun. And they're not that far away, are they? Because Jamie is on peg 7, Gavin is just, 3 pegs away on peg 4. So it's just a short distance between them. Surely you wouldn't think that there could be such a massive, massive difference between 2 anglers.
That's the way it is sometimes. You can be sat within 10 yards of somebody and they can be emptying it and you can't get a bite. It's just the way it is.
Look at the picture there. Poor old Jamie. Jamie head up, he's looking there, the eyes in the sun, and Gavin's down.
And they're both fishing virtually identical methods.
Yeah.
And it can only be no fish, can't it?
Yeah.
That's all it can be, is no fish.
Look what Gavin's putting on, a big worm there. But I thought I saw him look down the edge. I think he maybe saw a fish on, a tail or something, of a sign of a fish.
I just saw Lee Barrett bung a big potful down the edge as well. They've obviously gone for the last hour, carp o'clock. Yeah, they've gone for the last hour.
So I think it wouldn't surprise me if you don't plonk that right down the side there.
Well, they'll have different individual goals. Jamie Hughes is catching, as he has been doing all afternoon. Gavin just to catch 1 fish. Hopefully for him, the biggest fish, which would earn him £1,000 for the winner takes all. We have had 7 weigh-ins so far. We're due the 8th hooter any second now. Ah, there we go. Power of live television. So that's weigh-in 8 that we are due any second now. Remember, we have 10 weigh-ins for the men's event. When it comes to the ladies' event, it's a 4-hour event, and it is all now complete. I think we can go down and get a final update on the women's event with Rob Dorset.
Yes, we can. And what you're looking at is the final weigh-in of Emma Pickering here, who we think has won it. Let's have a look at this final weigh-in. Let me just tell you what she needs to beat. The total by Helen Dagnall is 6 kilos 475. What's that total there for a final weigh-in?
2 kilos 300.
Well, that's won it by some distance. 2 kilos... What did you say? 2 kilos 300. That gives her a grand total of 9 kilos 325. She's won it by more than 2.5 kilos, ladies and gentlemen. Emma Pickering's won it. And let's have a chat with her. Here she is with her little girl. Who's this?
This is Katie.
Hello, Katie. Your mummy's had a very good day. What do you make of that?
Where have I got to take you now?
I promised her I'd take a Toys R Us if I won, so I might not have much of this money left now.
What present are you after, Katie?
I don't know.
New bike? New bike. Mummy's rich now. A little sweet. Listen, Emma, what does this mean to you? You won it in 2008, haven't won it since then. It's a special day, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I wanted to win it again so badly for the last few years, and Sam's picked me the last 2 years in a row, so I was determined to go back this year. And I've fished my heart out today. I've not lost any fish, so I'm really happy with my day. So.
It fished really tough as well, didn't it? I mean, two of the ladies didn't manage to score at all.
Yeah, that last half hour was the most nail-biting half hour ever, because I didn't have a fish, and I just knew I wasn't going to get one in that last half hour. But luckily, I think I've managed to hold on. So.
And you've won it by some distance in the end. I mean, over 9 kilos when it is fishing difficult. Is that a decent performance from your perspective?
Yeah, especially when it's hard. It was like 1 or 2 fish, and then you'd have to swap and go on something else. But yeah, it paid off in the end. A bit of a swapping and changing. So. Now,
Emma, listen. We know this was a special day, the first day ever at a FishOMania final where you've fished opposite your dad on the other side of the lake. He's listening to you now. Do you want to have a word with Tommy Pickering?
Yeah, I will do. Say hi to Grandad. Say hello.
Hey, darling, you all right?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, smashing well done. You've won it, haven't you?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, you've done your half, but I'm afraid I'm not going to do my half, sorry.
I know, Jamie just had to do it, didn't he?
Yeah, he's fished a fantastic match, full credit to him, really.
Yeah.
He's just led front and just battered us all.
Well, we'll be round in a bit, and I'm sure I'll be getting chucked in.
Yeah, well done, darling. I'm dead proud of you, really.
I ain't got any spare clothes, though.
Well, is that 500 quid each, anyway, by the way?
I'm sure.
I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
No?
I'm sure it will be. Well, I've got to take her Toys R Us, so I could be in trouble. Couldn't I? Yeah.
Looks like you're going to Toys R Us anyway on Monday with Katie.
I am. I promised her I would.
Excellent, well done.
I'll be round in a bit.
Excellent, well done, darling.
Right.
Proud of you, well done.
See you in a bit. Bye.
Emma, this money's being split in so many different directions. There's not going to be any left for you.
I could have none.
Emma Pickering, many congratulations. The FishOMania 20 Ladies Final Champion. We'll see you for the presentation later on.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Like eavesdropping on a family conversation, that wasn't it? Tommy said before the event it was going to be Pickering-omania, and there were some bets going on at 25 to 1 that Emma would win the women's event and Tommy would win the men's. The bookie knew what he was doing, offering odds like that, didn't he?
If they've had a saver on both of them, though, there's a little combination bet they could still get their money back anyway.
Right, well, that's the ladies' event over. The men's event is still alive. They may have a runaway leader, but we're still into the final hour. We heard hooter number 8 go in the background a short while ago. Let's get down to the lake. First of all, Andy Ford.
Thanks, Rob. It's peg 11 we're going to have a look at now, and Les Thompson. He's fishing down the edge. Stu, would you do the honours, please? Les hasn't got very much in there. He's got 1 fish, but it is a very, very good fish and a very close contender for the biggest fish prize. We haven't, obviously, I think Andy Power's got a big fish just round the corner. At the moment, the big fish is that one caught by Darren Cox earlier on, 3.36 kilos. That's definitely going to be beaten by this one, I think. So here we go. Stu Ballard brings it round. It's interesting, this one was caught down the edge. You can see what a fantastic carp that is. Look at that. So that's definitely going to go over 3 kilo. David Kent's doing the honours. I'll just try and make my way around the weighing mat. Oh, 4 kilo maybe?
3 kilos. Three kilos, 840.
So 3 kilos, 840 does put him in ahead with the biggest fish, but we'll see what Andy Power's got. Over to Rob.
Well, you know what, I reckon we can beat that. Let's pull this net out, because just after the last hooter went, there was a fairly hefty carp brought in by Andy Power. Now, there's the odd big one cruising around here. It's not been the most prolific of sections, but we reckon this is probably going to go over 10, maybe 12 pounds. So, in new money, as Keith says, the new and old money issue, let's just have a look at this now. It's going to be 5 kilos. It's a nice, big, fat mirror carp there. It was taken 6 inches below the surface. He was mugging them, as they call it, just looking for these fish swimming around. He spotted one. He's dropped a pellet in front of its nose. And, of course, being a big creature, it can't resist it. So, it's gone well past it. We're 6 kilos. 6 kilos 400. There we go. Of that, we've now got the biggest fish in our section. Thank you very much.
The biggest fish may be in the last section, but it's the second section of pegs from 5 to 8 which have proved the most successful today. 3 of the 4 from that area, including runaway leader Jamie Hughes, At the other end of the table, still no joy for Gavin Mills. He's got less than an hour left to make a catch.
Well, that £1,000 fish was an absolute corker, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, we didn't look that
You
big.
two were
It's a
guessing
big-
it. Yeah.
A big barrel that was, wasn't it? Proper,
bigger than we
proper
thought.
mirror carp. Yeah, solid fish. Yeah.
Here it is. Here's the landing of it for Andy Power. And that could earn him £1,000. How long have we got left? About 5:05 we're finished, so into the last 15 minutes or so at Fishermania. 6.40 kilos.
Look at the thickness of that
Yeah,
fish. That's
it
where
is.
it is. It's in the girth. Yeah, it's a great fish.
Give it a little tickle in the tummy.
Yeah. Jamie still, although it was his worst weight, it was still over 4 kilos.
30-year-old Jamie Hughes, former scaffolder, now professional angling coach, is within casting distance of the Fishermania trophy.
Yes, I think one of the biggest smiles of the day came when Jamie just turned around and saw that I was about to interview his family. He found that very amusing. This is Dad Gary, girlfriend Emma and Mum Jill, and I'll tell you, there's no counting of chickens going on here, and I think a lot of that is because of what happened last year, isn't it?
Yes, certainly. You know, anything can happen in the last half hour. Big fish can be caught, so you have to not count your chickens.
So you're still feeling incredibly nervous?
Incredibly nervous.
And Dad was trying to send a text a minute ago. His hands were shaking so much. This means a lot to all of you, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the commitment that James has shown over the years with his fishing and to actually get through the finals and to actually get into it for the third time, it's emotional.
Oh, very emotional. And Emma, he's already planned what he's going to spend his money on, hasn't he?
Yeah, a van for his to take his gear in.
A van for his fishing gear to replace his car. So things are going well for Jamie, but as I said, no counting of chickens here just yet.
About counting chickens, he's been counting fish all afternoon, hasn't he? And probably lost count of exactly how many fish he's managed to bag. There's another one.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, here on Peg 2, Darren Cox has really had a fight in his hand. If you want to start bringing it out for us, Simon, trying to catch this. They reckon it's quite a good one, sort of 4.1 kilos, something like that. But it was foul hook, so that's why it took him a while to land it. The crowd were getting excited, then it got away, but he did it in the end. So let's just take it up to Dick, who's going to do the honours and weigh it. What does that look like to you, Dick?
It looks like it's a good 4 kilos anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to beat the 6. The one that big fish. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Get it.
Yep. No. 3 kilos, 790. 3,790.
3,790, not as big as we thought, and a real fighter both in the water and out. I'll pass you now to Rob Hughes.
Well, here we are at Action Stations, and the battle, of course, is for honour of second place at the moment. Now, we were just about to grab the net out here, but unfortunately we've been delayed a little bit because Lee Barrett is actually playing one at the moment, so it would be a bit remiss of us to dive in there and interfere with what's going on. There are a few fish around. It's very, very close between second, third and fourth. So just while we're waiting for this, Bryn, what's happening over there?
Go, fellas. Thanks very much. Well, Jamie Hughes, it's a little quieter here, but at this stage of the proceedings, that doesn't really matter. Big laughs behind. His fans are getting quite relaxed. I think they're beginning to enjoy the moment now. He's so close. What he has been doing throughout the course of the day that so many others have found it difficult to do is keep catching. No matter what the size, just keep catching. And that's why he's kept building and building that lead, that impressive lead at the top of the board. And again, it's the barbel, a barbel bonanza really that there's been here today on peg 7 for Jamie Hughes. In they go.
It's not bad. 6 kilos, 110.
The growing Jamie Hughes fan club behind him. He may be spooking the fish, those supporters. Well, he's from Merseyside. Oh, there we go. I believe the applause might not be for Jamie, but could be for Gavin Millis over on peg 4. Gavin, remember, all afternoon has not caught a fish. There's a smile on his face. Gavin has finally broken his duck. Well, this is the moment he's been waiting for. He's waited, he's waited, he's waited. He's got nothing all afternoon, and that is worth its weight in gold.
It's come off, look.
Yeah.
It's come off as well.
Only just over 10 kilos separating second and eighth, an amount that could easily be caught in the last half hour. But with no prize for second, they'll instead be going for the £1,000 Big Fish prize. Jamie Hughes is Fishermania champion-elect.
Into the final minutes of 5 hours of continuous fishing here at Cudmore in Staffordshire at the Arena Lake. It's been a very, very long day for Jamie Hughes, but I tell you what, it's going to be a profitable day. Is that a contender for the biggest fish, the £1,000 fish?
6 kilo, 14 pounds.
That's £10, isn't it?
Yeah, that's maybe a bit more. I don't think it's 14. I don't think it's 6 kilo, but it's good size.
Well, Les is the West Bromwich Albion fan. We'll be hoping that that nets him at least the biggest fish of the day and the £1,000 to take home. His experience of Cudmore this afternoon. And like the other thousands of anglers out there, they'll now be thinking about next year. They will all want to be this man. They will want to emulate Jamie Hughes and take home the title. If you've just joined us, what was it, 2,300 almost?
Yep.
Anglers during the course of the summer between April and June. The last event had 300 anglers trying to get the last spot. Nick Speed got that. Jamie won at Partridge Lakes Fishery, one of 11 lakes back in June. Top 6 that day, all had £100. He won on the fancied peg 2. He had the fancied peg 7 today.
Fairly local venue too as well, Partridge. It's not too far from where he lives.
I was at the venue that day, and so when he drew peg 2 on Pine, everybody said, no, it's more or less over. And he didn't let anybody down, or certainly didn't let himself down.
And if you notice now, we've taken the microphone and headphone off him because we want to preserve that, because we know in a couple of minutes' time he's going in the swim. That is tradition.
His bank runner there, Lee's got him a pint of lager ready, look, I think.
I think that's Lee's, isn't it? There's no drinking during the competition, surely. Well, there is a battle for second place. Lee Barrett, who's had a decent haul of 32.5 kilos during the course of the afternoon. That would have been enough last year in 2012 to win the whole competition. Winner takes all is exciting, but dreadfully disappointing if a decent bag like that and you finish second.
You won't begrudge Jamie though, because Jamie, it's not like he's been ounced or he's had a bit of bad luck. He's all right. Lee's broken a pole and had a top kip fly off, but he's not had 30 kilos worth of disaster.
No, that's a good performance from Lee.
Yeah.
You'd be happy with that, you know.
He's good at catching big fish as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's caught in an area where timing very good today, to be fair. So he's had plenty of fish in front of him. He's made the most of it. So fair play to him.
What he's had though, he's had Tommy next to him, and Tommy didn't go on that line until late. So he's had that middle of the lake more or less to himself, while Tommy fished the method feeder.
Yeah, if Tommy was hoping he would have the method feeder line to himself.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's a tactic. It's a tactical move. It's a tactical game.
There's a fan there on the bank. He thinks it's all over.
It nearly
will
is.
be in a minute. Yeah, Barry Hearn, the promoter, the brains behind Fishermania. 20 years ago, a competition that has gone from strength to strength.
We can't say it's all up for grabs now, or Aguero, can we? The other two famous football finishes.
any second now. He said the last hour was going to be the longest of his fishing life.
And he's still catching. No, he's still catching.
He's got to get it in. He's only got 36 seconds.
What a day's fish he's. I don't think he's that worried. Tommy's just got the biggest fish. Tommy has just got an absolute monster.
We may see Tommy in a second. He's just over our shoulder. Oh my goodness, that's a whale. Well done, Tommy. So Emma's won £1,000 for the women's contest. And it looks as though Tommy, if he gets it in that bag within the next 16 seconds, or he does it.
It only has to be the landing net. It doesn't have to be the keep net.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's not, I don't think it was £14 yoke.
Don't know, it's a big
we still
fish.
have drama. However, seconds away. The drinks are on Jamie Hughes, 30 years of age, an angling coach from Higher Beddington on the Wirral. In his third attempt, he takes the Fishermania title. In 2 decades of top-class angling, I don't think there's ever been an individual performance like this. Outstanding, a masterclass, and the whole of Cudmore rises to its feet to congratulate young Jamie Hughes. And you know, Jamie, what comes next?
Give us our microphone back.
A pint.
And is it for a bit of buoyancy?
Really has been a special performance, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. Well, let's go down there. Bryn has got the microphone. Let's catch him before he gets wet.
Come on, Jamie. Catch your breath. How does that feel?
Oh, it's awesome, mate. The best day's fishing of my life.
And it was a great day's fishing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Perfect performance, perhaps?
No, I've been very lucky with a great big gang of barbel in front of me, but hopefully I made the most of it.
What was you thinking from the start of the day? You had attacked it, didn't you, because of what happened last year?
Yeah, I had a good idea of the peg. It's a completely different lake though now with all the carp that are involved. As I say, I just got very lucky with them barbel. It was lucky I practiced in this area on last Friday, I think. And I caught barbel here. If not, I wouldn't have had that plan. So
you stuck to the plan throughout and it worked so well, didn't it?
It did. They just come in spells all the time.
How does it feel?
Oh, awesome. It's everything I've ever wanted.
And the people up on the bank will be enjoying this as well, won't they?
They will. It'll cost me a few quid in beer tonight.
Your parents are there. Proud moment for them, I'm sure.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
And what happens next? What does this do in terms of your angling career?
Oh no, I want to carry on as it is. I've got match this next. Obviously, this is absolutely amazing, but it's just all about raising the profile as much as you can.
You and I spoke before the event started. Third time lucky, we said, didn't we?
We did, yes, and it was.
Fantastic. Well done, Jamie. Congratulations. You're the winner of Fishermania 20. Well done.
Let me see my mum before I go on.
Third time lucky. There was an element of luck, but it was 99% talent. Wonderful afternoon for Jamie Hughes. 5 hours of fishing that he's never going to forget. And he heads to the family on the bank, lending him support. Dad Gary, Mum Jill, and girlfriend Emma, who I'm sure will be wanting maybe just an appreciation of all of the hours that she's let him go out and fish.
Oh, she's going to have a ride in the van.
Yeah.
Not all self, are you, when you're an angler? You'd happily take up a ride in his new
He'll probably
van.
do a real quality swan dive or something now.
Yeah,
He does everything quality, doesn't he?
It's the Matt Hall backflip I quite like.
Top bombing.
He's practiced everything this week. He came here and he's tried the various pegs. He had quite an amount of time on this peg. But Jamie Hughes, go and meet those fish that you've been catching this afternoon and meet them face to face, nose to nose.
There we go. That's Lee.
Whatever the sport, you can't hide the emotion when it comes to winning a major competition. Well, he's the undoubted winner, Jamie Hughes. Led from start to finish, and we'll get the complete total very soon, but the last time we had a count, it was 63.5 kilos. It's going to be even more than that now. That's as close as our cameraman dare get to him, as the bank of snappers, with the fishing pond, take the pictures of Jamie Hughes there. Picture. He's going to prize forevermore. He'll make his way to the rostrum to take the cheque for £30,000 and the trophy as well. And just a little minute of reflection for Jamie in the sensational sunshine in Staffordshire. Yep, he's the winner of the wet t-shirt competition as well.
There you go.
Well, let's go to those parents, the proud parents who are on the back, who are called Jill and Dad Gary, and they're with Julie.
So it's third time lucky for Jamie, and I'm going to come to Gary first of all, because I think you're feeling quite emotional, aren't you?
Very, actually, I must admit. It's to my birthday today, and James phoned me in the week on Tuesday and said, what would you like for your birthday, Dad? And I said, you know what I want, James? He's delivered. Brilliant. And I think what he's won today will certainly help him with his career with a fishing coach. He decided to give his full-time job up and dedicate his career to his fishing, so this will certainly help him go a lot further.
It means an awful, awful lot to him, doesn't it?
It does. He's totally dedicated, and since his grandfather used to take him fishing from the age of 6, he's just continued throughout his life and thoroughly enjoys it as well. So I think to be in a job that you thoroughly enjoy is a benefit as well.
Well, happy birthday, Gary. I can't think of a better way you could have spent it. And Emma, are you still shaking? Honestly, look at this girl's hand. Look, she can't hold it still. She's shaking so much. How are you, just happy or excited now?
Nervous for him, very.
Oh, it's been a wonderful day for you guys, though. Enjoy your night. I'm sure you will as well. Well done.
It's been a cracking afternoon, hasn't it?
It's been fantastic. We've seen record crowds. We've seen a record winning margin. Jamie's not just won it, he's battered it. And it's what the event deserves. It's 20 years old, it's come of age, it's a special event for everybody involved with it. You, me, I mean, you know, it's just a great event.
The thing about it, as you say, he was such a runaway leader, but apart from that, the other anglers, it was pretty tight when we see the final leaderboard.
It's been very good, to be fair. Around the lake there's been quite a few fish. In one or two areas it's been a bit poor, but on the whole there's been some good activity below Jamie, you know, sort of down to 6th and 7th, 20, 30 kilos sort of weight. It's really good.
Well, these anglers dream of winning a major like this. He's been calm, collected, within himself all afternoon, and look at him now, shaking with excitement, dripping all over the podium as well, wringing himself out.
A variation on the Matt Hole back flip.
Yeah, it's good that.
I think he's practiced that as well.
Yeah, I think so. In his dreams. In his dreams, he'd have practiced all of it.
Triple sulker, I think that was cool.
Well, every picture tells a story, and that is a picture of complete joy. Well, he's dried himself off to accept the check, so let's head to centre stage and our MC, John McDonald.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We've had an absolute thrilling day here today, and now it's time for the presentation. Would you please welcome the founder of Fishermania and the chairman of Matchroom Sport, Mr. Barry Hearn. And from our title sponsors, HotelPlanner.com, the chief executive, Tim Henshaw. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the Ladies Fishermania Trophy. Would you please welcome our winner with 9 kilos, 375 grams, Emma Pickering. Receiving a magnificent trophy and a £1,000 cheque. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the catch of the day, the biggest fish. The trophy and the cheque for £1,000. 6 kilos, 400, Andy Power. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for. The winner, receiving the magnificent trophy, £30,000, but most important of all, the title of HotelPlanner.com Fishermania champion, Jamie Hughes.
creditable 4th.
Well, there's the man who the drinks are going to be on tonight. He's got his first taste of that celebratory drink. We have to say congratulations to Jamie Hughes. Keith told me today you have to think like a fish to win Fishermania. He is going to drink like a fish tonight.